Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. President of Brazil, Lula da Silva, had a video conference with Zelensky, president of the Ukrainian nation. And I have this article that is going to give us some insight on what these two guys spoke about. I didn't read the article, but let me tell you a little story before we start that. I learned through my experience, through my life, that the best way to have someone understand someone else is not by telling that person necessarily, hey, that person is like that person. That's your assessment of that person. Because that person might get the idea that you have a problem with the other person. So if you sometimes, we're engaged in a relationship with someone, I don't know, business relationship, work relationship, intimate relationship, and then someone else asks you about that person and you give your assessment, obviously. You might see sometimes that that person might not believe you. The best way is not to try to convince that person. The best way is to say, you know what, why don't you go and talk to that person? Hoping that that person will find the same things that you were talking about and he or she will make, the same assessment. Oh my God, this is like this. Maybe not. Good for them. They match them. I'm not saying that my assessment is the correct one, but that's my assessment because that's how far I could think and I could observe things. So maybe this person is deeper or maybe he's shallower. So I don't know. In this case, Lula da Silva is the best way to call Zelensky. Because when you call Zelensky, you're going to talk with a guy that talks in generalities and he talks in his tyrannical, I would say, lingo, which is it is like this, it is like that, and that's not determination. It's lack of, and I don't think he's stupid, Zelensky. I don't think he is. I know that he has a script and he has to follow that little script. Therefore, he's not going to argue with Lula, like argue in a sense of debating. He's not going. He's going to say, Putin is a criminal, the Russians killed this, we have to defend our country against an unprovoked attack. And that's it. Lula, if he tries to say, well, maybe there's some nuances here, maybe that's a different view that other people have about the unprovoked, or maybe, if you would not be the female dog of the United States of America, if you know what I mean, things like this, Zelensky is not going to say, oh yeah, let's talk about that. He's going to say, no, Putin is a criminal, Russians attacked us unprovoked, we are defending our country, but we're criminals. That's it. So let Lula talk to this guy about the peace process or anything like that, and he's going to realize and I think Lula is not an idiot, after all, he's 76, I think he went around the block a few times, so he must be a little bit more experienced, at least with age, so I'm expecting him to be wiser. It's not a coincidence that he was the president-elect of Brazil, then he got incarcerated, then he got freed, and then he got reelected. I mean, to be able to do that, at least you have to have a few connections, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so you have to maneuver certain things. And he did it well. He navigated right through life so far. With little mishaps, but look, he's back in business, back on the saddle. So let's see what these guys talked in this little video conference they had. So this article comes from US News, taken by Reuters. Brazil's Lula discusses peace effort with Zelensky in video call. Well, I don't think he looks very optimistic or very happy about it. So Brasilia. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Thursday told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that he will encourage countries to join peace talks to end the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And I'm quoting, I reaffirm Brazil's desire to talk with other countries and participate in any initiative related to building peace and dialogue. Nobody wants war. I doubt that. I disagree with that. Lula said on Twitter after the video call with Zelensky, some want war because they can't achieve certain goals only by that, or that's a good way to achieve it for some. So again, this is a general, I would say, communist stereotypical stuff. If your neighbor wants your car or your house or your wife and he can't take it legally, but he has the right to, not the right, he has the power and he would not be sanctioned by any, laws or anything, and he's strong, he will take those. So why? Most likely Laws are just to keep us. If the laws that we made would not be enforced, there would be just a tiny minority of people, to use a fringe minority, like the communist Trudeau fringe minority of people with unacceptable views. Smack. Not with this, sorry, with this, like a like that. You don't use the whole palm for that guy, like 3 fingers only, like that with the tips. Otherwise, he's gonna pass out. Anyway, so if the laws were not being enforced, then people would abuse, others, because everything is based on desire and power. I want. Can I have it? Can I get it? Yeah. Is anything that opposes me, prevents me? His power. Okay, then I wait. Nothing? I'm gonna go and get it. How do you think the corrupt societies or countries or governments work? They all have laws in the book, but they're not enforced. Or they're enforced, preferentially. Enforced for these ones, but not for these ones. So the whole thing is enforcing the laws, not making the laws. There are laws everywhere. So the same here. We'll see. The same with nobody wants war. There are some entities that really want war to achieve certain goals. So Lula will discuss the peace effort with China when he visits Beijing next month, and also with Russia, his office said in a statement. It said Zelensky had invited Lula to visit Kiev. Do not do it, Lula. Do not do it. Because each and every person who went to Kiev, this is what happens. Zelensky took them, showed them some destroyed buildings and say, I need money. Don't do it. And they're going to say, you don't give me money? Then it's your fault because that occurred. That's the whole kindergarten levels shaming tactic. That's because you didn't help me in time or on time. And if you don't give me, that's gonna grow. It's gonna grow people and war crimes and whatever I say. So don't go. Each and every person who went to Kiev was taken for this. It's like a theme park. And I'm not making a joke here. Like a theme park, because it's used, I think, by this Zelensky. Goes over there, all the points, all the runs, yeah, woo, and then at the end, you gotta pay now. Because if you don't pay, it's because of you. And if not, we defend you. All that is to defend you. So give me so I can keep the Russians over there so they don't attack you. And the guy is like, what the are you talking about? And all of them caved in. All of them, all who visited, who are the ones visiting? The ones that some of them had to visit, some of them wanted to visit, some of them looked good if they visit, take pictures, my next re-election. Yeah, some people got a kick of that. A war zone, can you imagine, Johnny? I'm gonna go over there. I'm talking about Ursula von der Leyen. Johnny, or whatever, Hans, she's German. Hans, I'm gonna go to Kiev, war zone. Should I get my pads in case, I'm gonna be too excited? Ja, meine Liebe, do that. Jesus Christ. All right. Off topic. Okay. And I'm quoting, we discussed diplomatic efforts to bring peace back to Ukraine and the world. End quote. You see the world? There you go. Zelensky tweeted. He is the defender of the world. That is a narcissistic trend when you think that you are so important that the whole world depends on if you and and this country exists or not. The world keeps turning regardless if Romania is around, Ukraine is around, United States is around. It's going to be, the bigger the country, the more impact on the world community for about 2-3 months, and then nothing. But I'm guarantee you that if, let's say, anyway, let's move back. Yeah, the world. He said he thanked Lula for Brazil's vote in favor of the UN resolution last week that called for peace and demanded Moscow withdraw its troops. Lula said Brazil backed the resolution because it defends the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Okay. And we have here the leftist. Why do you say that? When you say far left? Oh, it's only far right? Oh, okay. the leftist Brazilian leader, instead of saying straight communist, but hey, whatever, had been advocating the creation of a group of countries that could mediate a peaceful solution to the war. No, United States, that's the only country. That's the one, if United States says tomorrow yes, Russia would say yes. If tomorrow United States says no, Russia would say no. Lula has declined to provide Ukraine with German-made artillery ammunition that Brazil has. So that's why go to Kiev, and then that's gonna come back to you, their request. And because they have to put the pressure on you, but you know better. Insisting that South American nations' policy of strict neutrality thought that he has said Russia made a mistake invading a sovereign country. During a trip to the United States last month, Lula called for a negotiated solution to the conflict that would be achieved through the involvement of more neutral global players. Who's neutrals? Who dares to be neutral? There's no neutral. You can't be neutral. The United States will impose sanctions on you and blackmail and threats. You can't be neutral. There's no such a thing. And Zelensky doesn't see things in a neutral. It could be neutral. It's either with us or you are with the evil ones. There's no way in between. Yeah, as Russia's invasion of Ukraine pop, at the time Lula said that Zelensky wanted war. So in an interview with Time magazine last year, when he was still a presidential candidate, Lula said that both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Zelensky were responsible for the conflict. Did you hear that? Nobody looks further than that. They put Zelensky. Oh, yeah, okay. At the time, Lula said that Zelensky wanted war, and if he did not, and I'm quoting, he would have negotiated a little more, end quote, although he reaffirmed that Russia was wrong, end quote, to invade its neighbor. What changed? But he didn't say. He said, well, need peace and all that. All right, that's good. That's a good start for that. So, go to Kiev, Lula. I'm glad when these guys are wasting their time to do this, because they do the wrong thing. It's like, for instance, I don't know, you want to negotiate your bank interest or something, account or loan, and you go and you speak with a speaker, you know, and it's, or you speak, you start yelling, let's say, at a robot on a telephone, you know, when you call somewhere now, you wait 50 minutes until, or never be able to speak with a human being in the United States, and then you speak with Roger, and he's from India, which is fine, and you just argue with the robot over there. It's useless to argue with a robot, you know, because who created the whole thing? You should speak with the decision-making party, not with the robot. The same. When they say, we're going to talk with Zelensky, it's not Zelensky. You can't be so dumb to think that Zelensky is the one who really, you know. But anyway, if he is, then I doubt that. I mean, not doubt that. I can't believe that he is over there based on the evidence of who supports, who promotes, who helped, who did this, who did that, who who helped overthrow the legitimate government of Yanukovych in 2014, and so on. I mean, it's so much evidence to support that this is a little vassal state that needs to come to the, how should I put, to the belt of the big master. Anyway, good that these guys are at least talked. Thank you very much, because I always say, talking is important. Not talking, not good. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.